Here's a change.org picture, and there's a child, and they're saying that she died from air pollution. Um, and this is a Photoshop picture. I don't know why they would want to use a Photoshop picture, but obviously we're supposed to feel sympathy for a child who's died. Um, she had asthma, but apparently the death is linked to illegal levels of air pollution. 180,000 people have signed this, and you know, I understand why people care about health and so on. But the thing is, this is a propaganda for Sadiq Khan's 15-minute cities, because what they're doing is they have to create an explanation as to why people will have their vehicles confiscated and why there'll be roadblocks and traffic cameras everywhere. And it is at least plausible that clean air is the motivation, but I don't believe it is. They actually did a freedom of information, and they found that there was only one person in London who died because of air quality. I mean, obviously nobody wants to live next to a major road. I understand that. The noise pollution, the air pollution, and so on, it's bad, and I do believe that we should work towards having cars that are belching black smoke and stuff should be repaired. And people who drive those kind of vehicles need to have them taken away until such a time as they're fixed properly. But I don't believe there's a genuine issue. I mean, Britain. I mean, it used to be years ago. People had coal, and there was London fog, and now the air in London is much cleaner. And of course, we have deindustrialization. A city such as London has very limited manufacturing. It's mostly light manufacturing, and so the air quality is much cleaner than it would be 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago. So this is just a World Economic Forum policy of removing vehicles, removing mobility, removing independence, road pricing, rationing of movement, linking your personal movement to your social credit score. In other words, if you've been an obedient little slave, they'll let you out a bit more, and people who are truculent and don't want to go along with it will be punished. And they're using this picture of a Photoshop picture of a girl in order to try and emotionally blackmail you into going along with their agenda. Right? I'm 100% in favour of clean air. We can't live. I mean, unfortunately, we all going to have to put up with some exhaust. It does seem to me, as a guy who doesn't own a car, that people drive too much. A lot of journeys are unnecessary. People should try to walk and cycle more. I do agree with that. I'm not against the concept of local services. If people can walk to the supermarket or cycle to the supermarket, that's something that really should be encouraged. People already pay a lot of money for the privilege of owning a car. They have to pay. The cars are expensive to buy, very expensive to service. There's a lot of taxes associated with car ownership, and there's also road tax and heavy insurance prices. And in fact, insurance prices now seem to be manipulated so that people who don't go along with the system are being punished. For example, apparently Lawrence Fox, his insurance has been increased 10 times. So I don't really believe that there should be, people should not be punished for having opinions. But I mean, insurance is a private business. I mean, unfortunately, you have to try and find insurance from a commercial enterprise, but they can't always justify their policies, you know. So I'm sorry about if this story is true, then I'm sorry for this young girl. It's a shame, and I'm sorry for her mum. But I think her mum is being, I mean, I believe that there'll be. I mean, almost certainly, this mother is being paid for this. I mean, there's is there a GoFundMe for her? I don't know. I mean, I could look it up, but I can't be bothered. There's a GoFundMe for her or something like that, and I believe that they trick the public using emotional scenarios to get the public to go along with their agenda. It's problem, reaction, solution. Um, People's cars should not be confiscated because one girl who had asthma dies unexpectedly at 9 years old. Certainly, air pollution is a problem, and I wouldn't particularly like to, um, I mean, some people complain about wood fires and all the rest of it. We have to be realistic about this. We have to be reasonable. I believe in live and let live. Um, we're going to be, there's going to be some noises around us. There's going to be some smells around us if people are cooking and things like that. Some people smoke. We have to try and be tolerant. I mean, obviously, people shouldn't take the piss, but as long as people don't take the piss, then we have to put up with it. I don't really believe that this girl, I believe this woman has been set up. This story has been set up as propaganda for Sadiq Khan's um, um, 15-minute cities agenda. I don't want smart cities. I do think people should have the right to move around. I do think it's acceptable to encourage and incentivize people to to cycle and walk more. A lot of journeys probably don't need to be made, but if you've got 5 people in your family and you want to go to the coast for a holiday or something, it's not very realistic for you to go by public transport to Victoria Station, then get in a bus or something. It's a lot easier just to drive down, and people should have that right. I wish I had the money to own a car, to be honest. If anybody's got an old car they don't want, let me have it. Tell me about it. So, as I said, don't like the misuse of Photoshop should not appear in any propaganda. Um, and So anyway, a legal first would make the government look at how to learn from this to avoid future loss of life. Yeah. UK taken to UK taken to Europe's highest court of air pollution. Right. Well, I'm sorry. The pollution in many EU countries is much worse. Countries such as Poland have lots of coal-fired stations, and in Britain, because of our maritime climate, our air is relatively clean. That's just a geographical advantage of our physical location. Okay, thank you for your time.